Have you ever noticed it? You walk into a room and the baby stops crying. A dog that was restless suddenly sits beside you. A cat that ignores everyone else stares at you like it recognizes something. And it is not random. Animals and babies do not respond to status. They do not respond to money. They do not respond to social masks. They respond to energy, to nervous system signals. Two subtle cues most adults have been trained to ignore. So when they stare at you, linger near you, or calm down in your presence, it is not coincidence. It is perception. Empaths often experience this without understanding why. You do not force attention. You do not try to impress, yet infants lock eyes with you longer than usual. Dogs follow you. Even anxious animals soften around you. This is not mystical fantasy. It is psychological and biological. Machiavelli understood something timeless about human behavior. People are constantly reading signals beneath words. Most adults bury this instinct under ego and social conditioning. Babies and animals do not. They operate on raw detection. They sense microtension in muscles. They detect heart rate shifts. They read breathing rhythm. They interpret stillness versus agitation. And empaths, by nature, tends to regulate others unconsciously. You enter a space and adjust your tone. You soften your posture. You observe before acting. Your nervous system scans for imbalance and instinctively stabilizes it. Animals and babies respond to regulation because regulation feels safe. Here is the deeper layer. Most adults project internal chaos even when smiling. Stress leaks through posture. Anxiety leaks through breath. Hidden aggression leaks through eye movement. Empaths often carry awareness instead of projection, and that difference is visible to beings who have no filter. In this video, we are breaking down why animals and babies stare at you, what it reveals about your aura, what it says about nervous system dominance, and how Machiavellian psychology explains this phenomenon without fantasy. Because when pure beings recognize you, it is not about magic. It is about alignment. Let us begin with the nervous system. Babies and animals are masters of nervous system detection. They do not analyze your resume. They do not care about your words. They read your regulation. A baby's survival depends on this skill. An infant scans tone, facial tension, breathing rhythm, and eye softness to determine safety. If the nervous system in front of them feels unstable, they react, crying, turning away, stiffening. But when your nervous system is steady, something different happens. They stare not because you are entertaining, because you are coherent. Coherence is when your internal state matches your external signals. Your voice is calm because you are calm. Your posture is relaxed because you are grounded. Your breathing is steady because you are not internally fighting something. Most adults are fragmented. They smile while stressed. They speak softly while irritated. They pretend to listen while distracted. That fragmentation creates subtle tension. Animals and babies detect fragmentation instantly. Empaths, especially those who have developed awareness, often operate with higher internal coherence. You are used to scanning emotional environments. You are used to regulating yourself so you do not escalate situations. Over time, this builds nervous system control. Machiavelli emphasized controlled expression. A ruler who reveals agitation loses authority. A ruler who maintains composure influences without force. You may not be ruling kingdoms, but your nervous system may be ruling rooms. When a dog chooses to sit near you instead of someone louder, It is responding to calm authority. When a baby locks eyes with you and quiets down, it is responding to energetic consistency. Consistency equals safety. Safety creates attraction. And here is where the concept of aura becomes psychological rather than mystical. Your aura is not a glowing field. It is the sum of your micro behaviors. The way you move, the pace of your breathing, the tension in your jaw, the steadiness of your gaze. Animals and infants stare because they are decoding, and what they decode in you feels stable. But stability alone does not explain prolonged staring. There is another layer beneath calmness, and it has to do with attention. The next layer is attention. Most adults do not truly look at anything anymore. Their eyes move constantly. Screens have trained the brain to scan rapidly, switch focus, and divide awareness into fragments. Even during conversation, attention is split. Babies and animals notice this immediately. When you hold a baby and your eyes drift to your phone, the infant feels the break in connection. When someone pets a dog absent-mindedly while thinking about something else, the dog senses the detachment. Empaths, however, often possess a different trait. When you look at someone, you are actually present. You do not just glance. You observe. You register subtle shifts. You listen with your face, not only your ears. Your attention feels anchored rather than scattered. That anchored attention is rare, and rare signals stand out. Machiavelli understood the power of focused observation. He wrote that a wise leader studies people carefully, noticing their desires and weaknesses without revealing his own. That level of observation creates psychological weight. When your attention is steady, others feel seen. Babies respond strongly to being seen. Eye contact activates bonding chemicals. It reassures them that they are safe and acknowledged. If your gaze is calm and consistent, they often stare back longer than usual. Animals respond similarly. Direct eye contact from a tense or dominant human can feel threatening, but steady, relaxed eye contact without aggression communicates grounded leadership. That combination draws curiosity rather than fear. Here is the key distinction. There is a difference between staring with intensity and holding presence with calm. Empaths who have matured carry quiet presence. You do not need to force attention. You do not overmove. You do not over. Your stillness invites observation, and animals are drawn to stillness. In the wild, erratic movement signals danger. Controlled movement signals awareness. Your ability to move deliberately rather than impulsively makes you appear predictable in a positive way. Predictability creates trust. But there is something even deeper that explains why some babies stare at empaths, almost as if they are studying them. It has to do with emotional transparency, and most adults fail this test completely. Emotional transparency is the layer most people overlook. Babies and animals do not understand language the way adults do. They understand congruence. They sense when emotion matches expression. They detect when something feels hidden. Most adults are walking contradictions. They say they are fine while angry. They laugh while resentful. They speak gently while judging internally. That emotional mismatch creates subtle dissonance. The face may smile, but the micro muscles around the eyes tighten. The tone may sound soft, but the breath is shallow. Fragmentation. Babies stare longer at people who are emotionally congruent because congruence is easy to read. It is predictable. It is safe. Empaths often carry this transparency naturally. When you are sad, it shows quietly. When you are calm, it feels authentic. When you are attentive, Your body aligns with your intention. There is less internal acting. Machiavelli advised leaders to control perception carefully, but he also understood that controlled expression must be consistent. If your external performance slips, trust collapses. Empaths who have matured do not perform heavily. They regulate, but they do not fabricate. That balance creates emotional honesty without oversharing. Animals detect honesty instinctively. A dog senses fear even when a human tries to mask it. A cat senses tension even when someone pretends to relax. But when your internal state matches your external behavior, there is nothing for them to decode defensively. So they study you. There is no hidden spike of aggression, no sudden, unpredictable shift, no emotional whiplash, just alignment. Alignment is rare in adults because most people are disconnected from their own feelings. They suppress discomfort, they ignore intuition. They override emotional signals to maintain social masks. Empaths, by contrast, are usually aware of emotional even when you choose not to act on them, you feel them. That awareness reduces internal conflict. Less conflict equals smoother energy. Smoother energy equals curiosity rather than caution. But here is where Machiavellian dark psychology adds another layer. When animals and babies stare at you, it is not only because you are calm, it is because calm mixed with awareness signals quiet authority. And authority, when it is not aggressive, draws attention naturally. Authority without aggression is rare. Most humans equate authority with loudness, with dominance displays, with control through pressure. But animals do not respect loudness. They respect certainty. A dog follows the calm owner, not the frantic one. A baby relaxes in the arms of the regulated adult, not the anxious one. Empaths who have reached a certain level of self-awareness often carry quiet authority, not because they demand it, because they do not seek it. Machiavelli wrote that it is better to be respected than loved if you cannot be both. But he also emphasized composure. Authority rooted in emotional control is more stable than authority rooted in force. When you enter a room and observe before acting, you signal awareness. When you move slowly instead of rushing, you signal control. When you respond rather than react, you signal stability. Animals and infants are hypertuned to these signals. In nature, unstable energy can mean danger. Rapid movements, sudden tone changes, erratic breathing. All of these can signal threat. Calm awareness, on the other hand, signals leadership. You may not realize it, but your body language communicates hierarchy. If your movements are grounded, if your gaze is steady but not confrontational, if your touch is deliberate rather than hesitant, you communicate competence. Competence creates trust, and trust creates attention. Here is something deeper. Empaths often mirror energy to maintain harmony. Over time, this mirroring ability increases sensitivity to emotional shifts. When you have trained yourself to read environments carefully, your nervous system becomes highly adaptive. Adaptability feels intelligent. Animals are drawn to intelligent presence. Babies are drawn to faces that show responsive engagement. When you look at a baby and your expression subtly shifts with their micro-expressions, you are engaging in nonverbal synchrony. That synchrony strengthens connection rapidly. Most adults miss these micro-adjustments because they are distracted. You are not. But there is a final layer that explains why some babies stare at you almost intensely, as if recognizing something older than language. It has less to do with authority and more to do with emotional depth. Emotional depth is something babies and animals respond to instinctively, not drama. Depth. There is a difference. Drama is loud emotion. Depth is contained emotion. It is the quiet awareness behind your eyes. It is the sense that you have felt pain, processed it, and remained stable. Empaths often carry this depth because they have lived internally. You have observed people closely. You have studied emotional patterns. You have felt betrayal, joy, loss, connection, and disconnection intensely. And instead of becoming numb, you became aware. That awareness settles into your presence. Machiavelli understood that experience sharpens perception. A man who has studied human behavior deeply moves differently. He pauses before speaking. He watches before trusting. He senses before acting. That pause creates gravity. Babies are drawn to gravity. When an infant stares at you, sometimes it is not only about safety, it is curiosity. Your face does not look frantic. It does not look empty. It looks observant, present, layered. Animals respond similarly. A dog often stares at someone who feels emotionally layered but calm. There is something to read, something stable yet aware. In the wild, older animals that survived carried this same quiet alertness. It signals wisdom. Here is the psychological explanation. When your nervous system has processed trauma, instead of suppressing it, your body language becomes integrated. Integrated individuals move with less inner conflict. That lack of fragmentation creates smooth, predictable energy. Predictable does not mean boring. It means secure. And security allows curiosity. Babies stare longer at faces that are expressive but not exaggerated. Animals approach humans who feel grounded but not stiff. It is the balance between softness and strength. Empaths who have matured carry both soft eyes, firm posture, calm breathing, attentive stillness. This duality is rare, and rare patterns trigger extended observation. But there is one final layer to understand. It is not only that animals and babies notice you, it is that they are reflecting something back to you. When animals and babies stare at you, they are not just observing, they are mirroring. Pure beings act like emotional mirrors. They reflect the state you bring into the space. If you are tense, they tense. If you are chaotic, they withdraw. If you are grounded, they soften. So when they stare at you calmly, what they are reflecting is coherence. Machiavelli believed that people reveal truths about you through their reactions. A ruler who creates stability sees stability in his kingdom. A ruler who creates fear sees unrest. In the same way, if babies relax around you and animals gravitate toward you, it suggests that your baseline energy communicates safety and awareness. This is not mysticism. It is feedback. Most adults are too distracted to provide clean feedback. They project their insecurities. They filter their reactions through ego. They perform socially acceptable responses. Babies and animals do not perform. Their reactions are immediate and honest. If a baby stares at you with curiosity instead of discomfort, your face is not signaling threat. If a dog chooses to sit near you instead of someone louder, your body language is not signaling unpredictability. They are confirming alignment. And here is where dark psychology sharpens the understanding. Humans constantly scan for power dynamics. Adults do it unconsciously, through tone, posture, and micro-expressions. Babies and animals do it instinctively through nervous system detection. When your presence feels calm but aware, soft but steady, you signal non-aggressive authority. Authority without tension is magnetic. You do not demand attention, you receive it. This is the empath's aura, explained without fantasy. It is not about glowing light or supernatural gifts. It is about emotional regulation, microcontrol, congruence, and depth. And when pure beings respond to that combination, it highlights something important. You are integrated, but there is one final insight. It is not enough to know that you carry this presence. You must understand how to protect it in a world that constantly tries to fragment it. Now you understand something most people never stop to analyze. When animals and babies stare at you, it is not random. It is not mystical fantasy. It is not coincidence. It is coherence being recognized. Your nervous system is steady. Your attention is anchored. Your emotions are integrated. Your presence is controlled. In a world filled with fragmentation that stands out, Machiavelli taught that perception determines influence. Most adults perform confidence while leaking insecurity through babies and animals cut through performance instantly. They respond to alignment, not image. If they are drawn to you, it means your internal state and external behavior are synchronized. That is rare, but here is the final truth. This presence can be damaged. Chronic stress fractures coherence. Constant exposure to manipulation increases hype. Overextending empathy without boundaries destabilizes regulation. If you allow chaotic individuals to drain you repeatedly, your calm authority begins to fragment, and when fragmentation returns, pure beings will reflect that shift. So the real lesson is not to be flattered by their attention. It is to protect the state that creates it. Guard your nervous system. Choose environments carefully. Limit exposure to emotional volatility. Maintain physical discipline, because your aura is not magic. It is maintenance. When you cultivate self-control, emotional clarity, and grounded awareness consistently, your presence becomes stable enough that even beings without language recognize it. That is power without aggression. If this breakdown changed the way you see yourself, then you are beginning to understand your influence beyond words. Subscribe if you want deeper analysis on empathy, power dynamics, and psychological awareness. Like the video if you have noticed the animals or babies reacting differently around you. Comment your experience and what you felt in those moments. This channel exists to remove illusion and replace it with understanding. Presence is power. And the most dangerous influence is the one that does not need to announce itself.